Hi, my name is Rocky and this is my extreme beginner's guide on how to use Blender. So, you're just going to delete the default cube by pressing delete on your keyboard because we do not need it. And you don't need a reference image, but I just prefer to work with one. So I'm just going to drag it in from my files. Here it is, a creature I drew. Click N on your keyboard to bring up this panel here. Change all of its properties, like rotation and location, to 0. There we go. And to put it in a right way again, click R, X 90. So now it's facing the side, as you can see in the render view. And you want it to be facing this way. So click R, Z, 90. There you go. I'll make it a bit larger. Click S and drag out. Now to start sculpting. Add, or you can click Shift A to make it easier, mesh and UV sphere. I like to keep it in the middle, don't move it, but you can still scale it up. So click S, scale up. And this is just what you're going to start working with. Now, while having your sphere selected, click on the sculpting menu at the top, and this is where you're going to start. The first step is to add more polygons to your sphere, because that's what's needed in sculpting. I'm going to put it at 0, 5. The smaller the number, the more polygons you have. I wouldn't cross 0, 0, 1. That tends to crash my computer. Remesh. And you can see it changed the sphere. There is a lot more polygons than you would start with normally. Make sure you have the X thing turned on blue, which just makes it mirrored. So, going over the tools, I might make the resolution higher just to show off the tools, but I wouldn't start off with it high. Okay. Here's the draw tool. It just draws on. It draws on the extra geometry. The draw sharp tool, it does the opposite, where it cuts in with these lines. Clay, it's like the draw tool but a bit flatter. I prefer this one for building up things like muscle. Clay strips, similar but a square. Clay thumb, it's supposed to simulate like a thumb as if you were sculpting in real life with clay. I personally don't use this one. Layer, it's hard to get used to. I wouldn't recommend having it so strong. You can change the setting up here. It just adds a layer without trying to change like the height of the geometry you have. The inflate tool, it inflates part of your mesh, makes it bulbous. I often use this one. Blob, it's basically a stronger variant. Oh, I haven't had it selected. Blob is just a slightly stronger variant. The crease tool, one of my favorites. It adds in a crease. Good for making sharper edges. So the smooth tool just smooths it all out together. Really nice. Also one that you'll be using a lot. Flatten just like flattens it towards a certain height. Maybe I'll make it bigger and stronger. I don't really use this one, but It's good for stylized things when you want to have flat edges somewhere. Fill. If you have a crease you don't want, or you want to make it not as deep, you can use the fill. I personally just smooth it out instead. Scrape. It kind of dents the mesh, but it looks really similar to the fill tool. Multi-panel scrape. Scrapes in. It just scrapes in, but leaves this little edge in the middle. Pinch. I personally don't use this one, but it's supposed to stimulate pinching something together like you would with real clay. Now the grab tool, I usually make it a bit bigger. You can grab part of the mesh and move it. Elastic deform, similar, but it affects more of the mesh as if it was made of some elastic material. I'm just going to reverse that. Snake hook tool. It lets you extend something. I guess you can make horns, etc. After it does get distorted, but I'll show you how to avoid that. Thumb, I guess, simulates just using a thumb. And the pose tool. For this one, I'll use the snake hook tool again. And I'll use the pose tool. You see the line, it's like where it affects it. And you can pose something. The more polygons you have, the more distorted it will get. But yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to reverse all that, so I'm just going to get rid of it and add another UV sphere. Make it larger. Sculpting. Remesh to 0. Oh, it was already 0.05. Remesh and yep, mirror on. I like to put the perspective on its side. There we go. And use the grab tool to move the mesh into place of where my reference drawing is. As I said, you don't need a drawing, so you can just do whatever you want. I just find it easier when I want to do a specific thing. And it's not going to look great at the start, but don't worry, it's all a trust the process. Keep pushing it. If you want to see the image behind it, click on X right here. It's not that visible, but you can still see the edge of your mesh. And make sure to switch to the front view as well, so you can see what your model looks like. Yep, see? Like this jaw. You can just, yeah, extend it from this side. And over time, you'll just get there. Just keep fixing parts and keep adding parts. And after a while, when you've done some things, click with Remesh again, which is going to add extra geometry to the distorted mesh. This just prevents getting like random faces overlapping each other, or some faces being too small compared to other ones being too large. And feel free to use also the other tools, obviously, but personally, the grab brush is just my way to go when starting in mesh. Here, we're going to use the Draw Sharp tool to make an eye socket right here. Let me switch it back to normal. And smooth it out. And in layout, click off of the shape. Add another UV sphere. This will be the eye. Using G and looking different directions, just move it over to where the socket is. You can also enlarge it. S. Here it is. I like to rotate it so that the top of the eye, like where all the edges meet, it kind of reminds me of an iris and pupil. So I just like to have it pointing where the eye usually would. And clicking on modifiers, add modifier, generate mirror, where it says mirror object. Click on the head, and then you would have two eyeballs. So click back on the head, sculpting, and continue. After you have a shape that you are happy with, you can scale it up again. This time I'm going to go for 0.01. And now you have a lot more polygons. This is where the smooth brush comes in useful. It just smooths it out nicely. You can start adding more details, such as creases. And remember, change the radius and the strength to get more precision with it, or how much you want it to affect the area. And keep going. Things like gums, eyes, and teeth, I would just make as separate shapes, which I will show you later. Okay, I have a shape I am happy enough with so far. I'm gonna go back to layout mode, add in another UV sphere. This one can be moved anywhere. Back into sculpting, we'll have it selected, X, and using the grab tool, I'm just gonna extend it into a tooth shape basically. Maybe elastic deform will work better for this one. Yeah. Even if it'll push it upward. I can use grab on the top. The inflate tool can be used to make the base of it thicker if that's what you want. And using elastic deform again, I push it to the side to give it a curve. And now you have a tooth. It's kind of pointless to add more polygons to this, it's fine as it is. So right click, shade smooth, and now I have a smooth shape. Again, add modifier, generate, mirror, click on the head. I like to look at it from the side again. S to scale, R to rotate, and G to move. It also depends on where you look at it. If you look at it from the front, it'll rotate to the side. Gonna put these back up. And they look like bottom teeth. Shift D to duplicate. R, Z, 180. So I'm facing the other way. Just, you know, adjust them. Now looking from the front, they're obviously way too far off. So just move them in. Same with the bottom ones. Looking to the side. they do look too thick from this side, so back into sculpting. I'm just gonna use the grab tool. It only affects the original one, so the mirrored one, it doesn't basically count as a mesh. I'm just gonna zoom out for more precision and make them slightly thinner. Or you can even use the smooth tool. There we go, that's a lot better. Or maybe also just make the lips at the top thicker or wider with the grab tool. Back to layout. There we go. If you want your character to, let's say, have ears, which would be part of their head mesh, go back into layout mode, click off of all the objects, add another mesh, UV sphere, sculpt. I'm just gonna make a really simple ear shape. Let's make it curve this way. Okay. Add modifier, mirror, so they have two ears. Oh, remember to select it to the face. Using the scale tool, I'm just going to make them a lot thinner. Want to apply the mirror modifier, then Control A, all transforms, then right click, set origin to geometry. This will basically reset its values, which will prevent making it distorted. Now, while having the ears or the face selected, click shift. While having the ear selected, hold shift and click on a face or vice versa, Control J, and now they are joined. Going into the sculpting menu, just remesh, and now the object is part of the mesh. Gonna add a little ear crease maybe. And keep on adding detail. And things like body parts, I'd make separate. So head, body, and legs often, they'll just be separate objects as it makes it easier to edit later on. Or if you just want to do a head, keep modifying it until you're happy with it basically, and just have fun. As I said before, the highest I would ever go is 0.005. Some really high-end computers can have more, like 0.001. That tends to still work for me, but I think it's just way too much polygons you don't really need. But that is like the maximum I'd recommend. Here is a creature I made for the project that I'm working on for college with the exact same method I showed you, just constantly changing it with the grab tool, remeshing it together. There we go. It's a little bat guy. Have fun and make some creatures. There's also more tutorials out there on how to colour them, which was a bit too much for the video to cover, but have fun and enjoy. Thank you for watching.